Okay, so here I have a 21-inch screwdriver. It's a flathead, and I bought this screwdriver for one specific job, basically. So if we look at the tip here, you can see how I've modified it. The head of it is now only about half of its original width. I'm sorry the camera won't focus, but I'm sure you could see that. And you know on rack and pinions, when you're trying to remove the boot to maybe get to an inner tie rod or something, these are the clamps that you normally come across. So sometimes those things are really far in there and they're just hard to get to. So with this very long screwdriver, just like to reach in here, just get it into its spot, which is normally that right there. And at that point, you just give your screwdriver a twist, and you could usually take these clamps right off it, no problem. Okay, so the story behind this one is one day a customer came out, it would not start. She said it would crank. It sounded like it wanted to start, but it wouldn't. She gets it towed to a shop. Now keep in mind, this is a shop that about 2 weeks before that, they replaced her thermostat for $190. Thermostat on this vehicle is the easiest thermostat in the world. It's right on top. Could just take minutes. So anyways, they saw coming from a mile away. They know how she is already because they've dealt with her. She would pay anything, not pay anything, but whatever they told her, who is she to say that they're wrong, right? So anyways, they diagnosed from the towing, they diagnosed a bad head gasket and that the engine is no good and the engine needs to be replaced. So they gave her a $2,000 quote to replace the engine. Okay, so head gasket, yeah, but why do you have to? It's even running right now, perfectly fine. It did not take long for that fluid to change from blue to yellowish or greenish. Okay, so here we have the Nissan Sentra that I'm about to do the head gasket on. But I wanted to check the oil when it came in, and there's actually no dipstick. So I don't know how long the vehicle has been with no dipstick, but I picked one up. So let's go ahead. Oh, why am I not surprised? Oh, there's a dipstick in there. The handle's just broken off. I did not see that, but in any case, it still needs a new one. We just have to get that one out now. Well, that escalated quickly. No, I'm just kidding. This is where I'm at, actually. So everything's going pretty smooth. So I'm liking all of that. Didn't take too long to get this far. Right now, I'm letting the coolant drain out. And I'm going to go ahead and take a break. I've been in the garage for maybe like 30 minutes so far. So here's where I'm at so far. Exhaust manifold is disconnected. The intake manifold, I'm having a hard time getting to the fasteners underneath it. So I think I'm just going to pull the head with the intake manifold. It just seems easier at this point. Right now I'm trying to get the timing cover off. All the fasteners are off of it, but it's just stuck on there real good. And if I remember correctly, the oil pan needs to come off to clear the oil pump. So right now I'm trying to get the oil pan off. And I just drained the oil out of it. There was not much oil in this thing to begin with. I think less than a quart came out. Okay, so here's where I'm at. I have so many parts off of this engine, as you can see. Now I don't have the head off yet, but it's just about ready to come off. The oil pan and the timing cover put up a pretty good fight, so I spent a lot of time messing with that. But yeah, tomorrow I'm done for tonight. Tomorrow I'm gonna come out and I'll actually take the head off. The oil pan, the oil that came out of it, well, I mean, not came out of it, whatever was sitting in the pan, this stuff is like sludge. It's like real thick. You can tell they haven't changed it in a long time. So once I'm done doing this whole job, I'm gonna go ahead and put a clean oil filter on it and obviously put some new oil in it. Since I had the pan off, I was able to push the dipstick up from inside the pan. So here goes the old dipstick. We could just throw this out right now. Okay, so last night before I went in the house, I was like, I could not remember what the timing marks on this engine were. So I just kind of set it to the best of my ability. And then I went in the house. I was like, I'm going to do some research. So last night I looked it up and I come out this morning and I'm like, okay, I know what the timing marks are, so let me go ahead and check it. And it turns out it's actually in timing right now. So I got really lucky last night just by kind of eyeballing everything. Because these are the timing marks right here and the crank. But what's more surprising is that the color links on the chain also match up with all the timing marks. Now that's like weird because you have to rotate the engine so many times in order for those color links to line up with the actual timing marks. And for me to just set everything perfectly last night by accident, that was unexpected, but interesting. Okay, so as you can see, I finally got the head off. All of the head bolts were not as tight as they should have been. In fact, some of them were actually kind of loose. It took very little effort to take these head bolts off. So, I don't know. Someone's been in here before. I don't know if they reused the original bolts. You're supposed to replace them. Or if they just didn't torque them down properly. I have no idea what's going on here. But some of the bolts were definitely loose. This sucks. Right now is the perfect time to change that oil filter. But I don't have the new oil and oil filter just yet. So I'm going to have to do it the regular way. Put everything back together because I'm not going to wait just for an oil filter. It's so stupid. So just going to go ahead and take this head gasket off. Start cleaning and putting back together. Oh, and one more thing. That spark plug that I could not get out, which was this one right here, I did eventually get it out. And if you look in there, it's probably not going to show up. Right at the very bottom right there, the threads do look a little mangled up. I mean, that spark plug was in there tight. So while the head's out, I'm going to run a thread chaser through that and try to get it fixed. So I've already done the other three. Now we're actually trying to fix the one that was damaged. And that's my daughter calling me. I just about ran out of time here with my time in the garage, so after this it's time to go in the house. But as you can see, it's going pretty good, fixing the threads. Hey Chris Fix, that's not how you put a spark plug in. Silly Chris Fix. All joking aside. So as you can see, the threads are repaired. The spark plug goes in nice and smooth now. I'm going to recommend that she does not reuse the old spark plugs. In fact, when I was in the car, when I was moving it, I saw a box in there for new spark plugs. I haven't checked it. I don't know if there's anything inside of it. Maybe these are new ones. I don't know. But I'll find out. Okay, so before I go in the house, look what I found. Yep, here goes the dowel. And you can see it's just about, if I get a better angle, it's just about flush with the head. So could this be part of the reason why this new head gasket failed so soon? Whoever was in here last, they did not check this, and maybe the head shifted just a little bit. Yeah, so I gotta get this out. But that's not good. It should not be flush like that. Okay, so I've got all of the mating surfaces all cleaned up. It's not perfect, but I gave it a decent amount of time. Now it's just trying to put it back together. The intake manifold has the new gasket on it as well. So far so good. Almost forgot to mention that I did get the dowel off of the head. So here we have one, and here's the other. Okay, so here's where I'm at so far.
The head is completely torqued down. It has new head bolts, and I tell you that last sequence for tightening the head bolts, oh man, that thing, it's like they're so tight you just expect them to snap. But that's all done. Intake manifold is all torqued down to the head. And don't you hate when you get ahead of yourself? I was so eager to put the head back on it that I forgot to clean the side of the block where the timing cover goes. So it's not a big deal. I got it all cleaned. I got all the old silicone off of it and stuff. But it would have been nice to be up, from up top and get some cleaning done. I just had to go from the bottom since I got a bit ahead of myself. But it's all going together. We're putting all new parts on it. And right now, I'm trying to get all of the timing components in place so I could set the cams in, or the camshafts. Just a short update. I've done a lot. Let's see, what did I do? All the timing components are in place. The timing cover is on and torqued down. The oil pan is installed and torqued down. A new seal for the timing cover right here. We got the exhaust manifold all bolted up. We got the AC compressor bolted up. The top half of the intake manifold bolted up. Water pump installed. Power steering installed. And let's see. Thermostat housing installed. Started connecting small hoses and things like that. I put the fuel rail and the injectors in place. Completely put everything back together. I went ahead and checked the cooling system and pressurized it. There was a small leak right here at this hose. It was just leaking, like a real small leak right out of here. Just moving the clamp around kind of fixed it. Obviously the hoses are kind of worn out, they're really old. But moving the clamp did fix the problem, and it holds pressure perfectly. So this is what I like to see, be able to test things before I'm completely done, because if there was a problem with it, I could go in there and fix it right now rather than put the whole engine together, start it up, and while it's running, I see a leak, and then I have to take things back apart again. Okay guys, so it's the moment of truth. Go ahead and get fuel pressure. Okay. Oh, that don't sound good. No, I'm just joking. I don't even got the spark plugs in it. I was turning it just to get the oil, up to the head and all that stuff. So basically try to get some oil pressure. But yeah, it sounded like there was no compression because there isn't any, because like I said, no spark plugs. So I'm just gonna go ahead, pop the spark plugs in now, the coils on, and we'll first give it a few more turns, and then try to start it for the first time. It's not 100% put together, but I just want to make sure it starts. Okay, so the spark plugs and the coils are now installed. Before I plugged in the coils, I did crank it over one more time. Everything sounded good, and just to build up some more oil pressure. But this is really the first startup. Fingers crossed. Alright. I'm not gonna leave it running long since some things aren't connected. Ooh, look at that. Very first time. It sounds really good too. Super smooth. Nice and quiet. I'm gonna go ahead and shut it off because, like I said, the water pump and alternator, none of that stuff is connected. Yeah, that was started up very fast. Very nice. I'm happy with that. Okay, so that brings this little series to a conclusion. The rest of the stuff, no one needs to see me install that. Alternator, the crank pulley, engine mounts, and the belts and tensioners and things like that. So this is going to be the last video for this one. As you can see, it started up on the very first try. It sounded great. So that's it for this one. Maybe I'll have one more video of it, like driving off into the sunset. But yep, we're all done here. One more thing I wanted to show, something that's really bothering me. I mean, I'm not one to judge, but let's see if this door is open. Yeah, I mean, the car is like super nasty on the inside. Look at that. Hasn't been cleaned in like years. So I might do something here, at least to see the dash, you know. The last video, I called a customer, they're on their way to pick it up. It's driving, I mean, it's idling super smooth, super quiet. I guess the engine likes to have oil in it, right? So I've gone ahead and bled the cooling system. We are now getting heat in the inside of the vehicle. And you don't have to rev up the engine anymore. You don't have to be driving it in order to get heat. So we got heat at all times now. And as you can see, I went ahead and cleaned this off a little bit. It's the least I can do, I figured. The rest of the car is super nasty and dirty, but I did what I could. Yep, so we have heat now. Engine's running nice and smooth. We're gonna ship it.